Okay, so those are really important points, and I think that, you know, bringing it back to the whole mood issues that people have in this highly stressed, fast-paced society where, you know, there's so much economic uncertainty with employment, with people's being able to make their mortgage payments and the foreclosure rates going up. So we've already touched on some of the basic principles of avoiding, again, the theme is the same, avoid the processed foods and stick to, you know, as raw and as natural and as wholesome and as holistic as possible. So how about like supplements? Is there like, it's hard to get the omega-3s straight from the sea these days.
Supplements really do have their place in terms of changing brain chemistry and changing mood. There's no question about that. The omega-3s are probably the biggest one. So omega-3 fat, which is just a certain type of chemical fat, brain cells are actually designed to be built out of a good percentage of omega-3 fat. Some people estimate around 60, maybe 65% of brain cell tissue should be built from omega-3 fat. And if you don't have adequate omega-3 intake in your diet, you literally can't build your brain cells the right way. Kind of astonishing. The average American diet, this is a statistic that gets thrown out a lot, but it's an important one. The average American diet has way, way, way less omega-3 fat than ancestral diets, hunter-gatherer diets, the diets that our bodies were sort of designed to live on, and way more omega-6 fat, which is the antagonist to omega-3 fat. So most people are consuming omega-6 fats, which actually use up and burn out omega-3 fats, and then you're literally making your brain cells out of the wrong kind of fat. If the body doesn't have omega-3s, it uses omega-6s. So a lot of people's brains are physically, structurally misbuilt because of an improper profile of fat consumption in their diet.
Wow.
Amazing stuff. So our ancestors who were getting plenty of wild-caught fish and eating game they were killing themselves that had been out, you know, grazing on grass in the wild, they got all this omega-3. We don't get it, and it's very hard to get it from the diet. So whenever I look at anyone who is looking to feel better mentally, emotionally, one of the first supplements I think of is absolutely omega-3s. And they're so good for the body. And of course, body health ultimately reinforces brain health. You know, they're powerfully anti-inflammatory, great for cardiovascular health, and both of those things have a big impact ultimately on brain health as well. First line of defense.
How about we had recently talked about SAMe and GABA.
Yep.
I mean, we have a product called Mood Enhance, which has both those things.
Yeah.
And now we also have SAMe, the 200 milligrams.
Yes.
How does that work to support?
Well, let me tackle GABA first. It's a little simpler. GABA stands for gamma aminobutyric acid, and GABA just exerts a calming effect on the brain. So GABA is what's called an inhibitory neurotransmitter, and what that means is it tells brain cells to chill out. Literally, you have brain cells that are overly active. They're firing, 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 and we experience that excess activity as agitation or anxiety or stress. And GABA comes in and it blocks that firing action and just chills the brain out. And that's actually the pathway that alcohol acts through. The reason alcohol takes the edge off is that alcohol, there's a little receptor for GABA in the brain, basically, and alcohol goes and interacts with that and fools the brain into thinking GABA is present, and then those neurons calm down and we chill out. Problem is alcohol is unsustainable. It's a drug. So you feel a little better, then you feel a little worse. But actually getting more GABA into your system can sustainably chill your brain out. So when you ingest GABA, that's the idea, is to get it in your brain. And it helps a little bit. You know, many of these supplements, they help a little bit. Now, SAMe, in my experience working with people, is the most powerful mood supplement in terms of immediate effect. Omega-3s are more long-term. You know, if you want your mood to improve, omega-3s, 3 to 6 months, you have a good chance you'll notice a difference in context of a healthy lifestyle, dietary change, etc. SAMe, frequently people notice a profound difference in a week. And SAMe has some interesting effects. It can free up vitamin B12, which is very good for the body and very good for the brain. But really, SAMe increases serotonin and endorphin levels, and it does it in complicated fashion that we don't need to go into here. It kind of works with the liver. It's a sophisticated molecule. But more than anything else I've ever worked with, 5-6 days of using SAMe, people frequently feel an improvement. They feel better. They feel more comforted. The critical thing with SAMe, very delicate molecule, needs to be taken on a completely empty stomach with no food for at least 45 minutes. So if people are taking the SAMe, or if they're using the mood liquid, it should be first thing in the morning, right after they get out of bed, and then no food for an hour. And in terms of appropriate dosage, around 400 milligrams of SAMe is a good place to start. And if that doesn't work for you, you can try 600, maybe even 800. Clinical trials have been run with 1,600 or even 3,200 milligrams without finding adverse effects, but I wouldn't go that high. So if you don't feel better with 400, try 600, then 800. And do 400 for around a week, and then go up from there. And within 2 to 3 weeks, if you're not feeling better taking 800 milligrams of cysteamine, it's not going to work for you. So wean yourself off. Just kind of finish the package.
Okay, interesting. With, I've also heard of B12. You mentioned it. We have a sublingual B12.
Sure.
How does that interact to sustain energy and mood and things like
that? Well, B12 is a fascinating molecule. First of all, B12 is an incredibly large and difficult to absorb and complex vitamin. And your body only needs incredibly small amounts of it, almost unimaginably small amounts. But it's almost impossible to absorb. You actually have this whole mechanism in your gut built to absorb B12, and it doesn't work that well. And so a lot of times when people are taking vitamins or ingesting B12, they can't get it. And that's the reason we do sublingual B12, is there's lots of blood vessels underneath the tongue, and that rich network of blood vessels can absorb B12 directly into the blood. B12 is really fundamentally an energy molecule. It's critical for the production and maintenance of energy inside of cells, and when cells are producing energy more efficiently, you tend to feel better both physically and mentally. Probably it also has a variety of activities that we're not aware of, but B12 is really critical in the energy